Hello friends and welcome to Sermon Link. My name is Pastor Katja Brodbeck, and today we will be talking about healing. And healing for Jesus was one of the greatest part of his mission and his everyday experience with those around him. And no wonder, because healing was as important then when Jesus walked the earth as it is now for us. Because I think I cannot imagine a life or a life experience that might not need healing of God or healing touch of God in their lives. We enter and go through these experiences or circumstances in our lives that can limit us physically or emotionally, can create boundaries, and kind of can block our experiences and the flow of life, the flow of happiness and joy in our lives. And as I said, it could be physical, right? It could be an illness, and of course now all over the news we hear every day the reports of hundreds and hundreds of lives that are impacted by coronavirus, right? And then of course we know probably many of you have relatives or friends that are impacted by cancer. Certainly our church community is impacted by that a lot. So there is that physical healing that we all are in need of, right? But then, of course, we know there's the realms of our hearts and our emotions, and sometimes we can get hurt. Our hearts get broken, our souls get pierced, and we carry these wounds inside of us that actually impact our whole selves. And nowadays, you probably have heard of this term psychosomatic. It's this deep connection between our emotions and our thoughts and our physical bodies. And so all of that, our whole experience of life, our whole selves might be in need of healing. Now, granted, some healing might be limited, especially when we talk about physical healing. There are diseases and illnesses that are not treatable, but we know that even beyond that, God is able to extend that healing touch to the soul and to the spirit of person. And so this story that comes today for us from Mark's Gospel talks about this healing journey that Jesus takes this man from Bethsaida on. And so let us first hear that story and kind of talk a little bit about that. So I'm reading from Mark 8, verses 22 through 26. They came to Bethsaida. Some people brought a blind man to him and begged him to touch him. He took the blind man by the hand and led him out of the village. And when he had put saliva on his eyes and laid his hands on him, he asked him, "Can you see anything?" And the man looked up and said, "I can see people, but they look like trees walking." Then Jesus laid his hands on his eyes again, and he looked intently, and his sight was restored, and he saw everything clearly. Then he sent him away to his home, saying, "Do not even go into the village." So there is this story of healing, multiple of them in the Gospel of Mark and in all the Gospels. But here there's a unique kind of flavor to the story. Jesus almost is taking this blind man on a journey of healing. The way he touches him by his hand and takes him out of the village. And it's almost like this blind man at first had to trust this guy that comes to take him out. He doesn't know where he's going, but he has to trust that, right? So, and there is some sort of maybe even hope and a glimpse of hope that arises. So then Jesus touches, for the first time, touches the man's eyes, and he's kind of able to see, but his vision is very blurry. And that reminds me when sometimes we know that healing might come and we might feel just a little bit better. There is a glimpse of hope, and there is a sense that things might just get better for us. And you know how some people say, oh, I didn't even know how bad I felt before I started to feel better. So then, of course, finally, Jesus touches his eyes again, and the man can see clearly this complete healing and miracle that has occurred. And so for us then, this story brings this hope that God's healing touch, Jesus Christ healing touch, is at work in our lives. And yes, it could be physical healing if it's possible, but most importantly, Jesus touches our hearts, gives us hope, brings us peace and comfort, and it could be a journey for many of us that we are walking with Jesus towards this healing and complete healing in our souls. So friends, this is our blessing. This is our hope that God's healing touch is always at work, and so that we can access that, and that God can open the eyes of our hearts, right? How Jesus opened the eyes of this blind man to see God's work in our lives and peace and comfort that God brings. So friends, this is just a short message for us to think and reflect on God's healing in our lives. So I invite you to do that when you have time to pray about it. And we will have a healing service at our church this Sunday on February 16th. You are invited to come and be anointed with the oil to receive that healing of God. So blessings, my friends. Thank you for watching us. Give us a like, subscribe to our channel, and have a blessed day. Bye.